Outside the Box. We're back once again. It's our ninth episode, and it's the 8th of October. And we have a kind of a new format now. We're going to do 30-minute episodes and discuss only one subject. So you can choose which episodes you want to see. Today, Lasse is the one who wanted to discuss something. So
Today I'm
take it
pulling the
away.
strings. Okay, yeah, sure. So I've been watching the War Mahorts World Championships, and for those of you who don't know what that is, that's a different game similar to Warhammer, and they've had their version of the ETC last weekend, and they introduced live streamed games, so you could follow the games via Twitch. A site where you can watch different kind of games being streamed, and I don't think there are many non-computer games being streamed, but I thought it was a very interesting thing, and got me thinking about doing something similar to that at the ETC and regular Warhammer tournaments as well.
Did they stream all games or just some?
No, they had one specific table where the camera was pointed during the entire weekend.
Was it like the top table or was it any table?
I think it was the top table. At least, I'm not even sure if it was the same table the entire time, but I think it was top games, games between the different teams. I think they even said that they chose games where they knew that both the teams are very good, and it should make for an interesting game.
Okay.
And then they also had commentators. Not at first, because they had some sound issues. Actually, I think that the camera, or actually the recording equipment, got lost on the flight somewhere. Yeah, so when they finally got it, I think on the Sunday, they had the commentators narrating the games.
Okay.
And yeah, it worked out. So good.
So did you talk around the games or just around that particular game that we're playing at the moment?
Well, Twitch is built up with a chat, an online chat where you can chat about the game you're watching, and I think they had like 520, 530 viewers at some point. Yeah, so there was a lot of chatting going on, and some of the guys on the chat obviously had questions, so they might ask like, which game are we watching, and who's playing what, and how has that player been doing, and stuff like that. And the guys streaming answered as many questions as they could, while also discussing the game, of course. And I guess like they picked up on a few different questions that they thought were interesting to answer, because there were a lot of other questions going on, and such as like, okay, how is Team USA doing, and how is Team Ireland doing, and stuff like that isn't very interesting for the streamers to sit and answer every 5 seconds.
So
Well, that's a good thing with the Twitch chat as well. I mean, they can always answer stuff that is irrelevant for a moment, but for a new viewer, it's important to know like, exactly which teams are playing and stuff like that.
Yeah, and also what was good was that I got the impression that there were players, or at least people watching the games on site, so to say, in Poland, who were online in the Twitch chat. So if someone had a question like, okay, how is Team England doing, there was almost always someone who could answer that, because they were on the scene or on the set. So a very good way of following the tournament live.
So this is
So do you think?
idea you want to, try out at the ETC?
I mean, I know that this isn't exactly anything new. We had the first ETC we went to, well, as players, 2011 in Switzerland. We had the Rankings HQ with Andrew Galea, making interviews. not sure, but maybe even streaming bits of games. I'm not sure, but I know he did interviews at least. So I mean, like having a camera on site and getting live updates isn't new, but the format of the Warhammer Hordes World Championships, the format of the streaming there with the commentators and the Twitch chat, I think that like having the chat and not only like YouTube links worked out very well because you had like instant live updates all the time. Like, oh my god, now this guy went down to that, and oh, he managed to do that, and stuff like that were discussed in the chat.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was something missing this year at ETC, in my opinion. I mean, I really missed Gareth from Bad Eyes podcast, which always cover the ETC, and he wasn't present, and there was like no live updates from anywhere. Several people in Sweden have told us like afterwards that wasn't there any coverage, and yeah, you had some coverage, Champus, but it's still not the same where you can answer questions and yeah.
No, exactly. I mean, a blog is nice. It's always nice to have a blog, but I mean, like, it's so nice to have that real-time updates from the stream. And also, like, just watching the game was very interesting. I have been playing a bit of War Machines and Hordes, but like not on that level. So it was interesting to see how the game was played on the top level. And I think it would be the same thing in Warhammer if you had a couple of good commentators that could explain maybe the army lists you're watching and some of the choices that the player has made in his army list and stuff like that, and just discussing generally what's going on in the game. And you can even be like very into the game and be like, oh, what did he do there? And maybe that was a mistake, and very analyzing. But then you should also have a pretty big experience and maybe even had a couple of games at the ETC for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, probably, because otherwise, or you can have like in like online games where you have one caster more and one like expert commentator.
Yeah, we could. I mean, like,
it might be better we just have two experts actually, because it's such a slow game. You don't really need a caster.
Yeah, I mean, like in the future, that could probably be discussed which way is best and what kind of angle you should have on the commentators, like the discussion of the commentators. But like for now, I just feel like having a camera streaming maybe the one of the top tables, or you know what, like an interesting game, because by now we know what countries are interesting to watch. So like you could probably pick out like, okay, maybe not, this isn't the top table, but it's probably going to be a very interesting game, and maybe there are a lot of people watching from a certain country that would really like you to stream a particular game, and then you can do that because it's just like move around the camera and so I mean that's not a problem.
But how long are the games in the War Machine?
Well, they have different rule sets to play by. What they did at the ETC is something called the death clock, which means that both players have 1 hour, and then you play with a chess clock.
Okay.
And when the timer reaches 0 for one of the players, he auto loses. So
then you never roll dice in the opponent's turns, right? So you don't have to think and stuff like that.
I don't. Maybe there are some exceptions, but you generally don't do anything in the opponent's phase other than remove casualties.
Okay.
gonna.
You could say it's between like 60 and 90 minutes for you most games.
Yeah, and then I mean there are of course games where both players are like on 4 minutes left.
Yeah.
So, but maximum 2 hours.
How do you think it would work for Warhammer, where you have like 3-hour games?
Yeah, because I was already this year I was thinking about it. Like it would be really nice if we had streamers, and we actually had someone streaming one table this year. But I think that was just like a camera streaming one table, like 24/7, no commentators, and I'm not sure anybody was watching it, so you didn't have that ongoing chat in the Twitch channel. And then I thought like, 3-hour games. Who is prepared to um, to watch for 3 hours, like just sitting there watching it, because it could be a very eventful or a very uneventful game. Like nothing happens, just a dwarf army versus a dwarf army or whatever. And maybe you should avoid those kind of matchups. But then I've been experimenting myself, streaming my Universal Battle games on Twitch. And Universal Battle is a internet program which allows you to basically play Warhammer online. It gives you like a table, and then you set the terrain for yourself, and then you move everything on the screen. Like, well,
It's like a normal Warhammer game,
yeah, it's
just that you have pictures instead of
yeah, exactly, and it's very
models.
simple, like squares and circles and stuff like that. So, with a bit of graphics. Um, and I actually had a lot of, well, depending on what you compare with, of course, but I had more viewers than I expected. And I think some games I had as much as 40 viewers watching just like me practicing for the ETC for 3 hours. And that was also like a chat going on, and if someone had a question in the chat, I would answer it, and I would explain my moves in the game. Like someone would be like, "Oh, why are you doing that? Or wasn't that a risky charge?" Or stuff like that, and then I could explain like, "Oh, okay, this was my train of thought, and that's why I made that decision." And
Actually, do you know what we should do? We should have like Kai and someone play a game, or two, whatever, ETC players play a game at the Universal Battle, and then you and I discuss the game, or all three of us
yeah,
just sitting and discussing it. I think that would be great.
that would
actually.
be pretty fun actually. And I think that
With or without alcohol.
Both could work.
I would prefer with. I mean, it's so much. I mean,
yeah,
And then we
so
have
much
like a
easier to
promille counter
discuss.
up in the corner.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, and you would be like, okay, so for every double six, you have to take a shot.
With the universal battle dice.
Yeah, exactly. No,
But
so
do you
yeah,
think,
that would be interesting.
to be honest, I mean, it's kind of spectacular that they get like 500 viewers and they're discussing, and it's a smart idea because when you let the community, uh, I mean, start to discuss, there's going to be people who's willing to explain for other people.
Yeah,
So I mean, the
Yeah, exactly.
commentators only have to like comment on the big things and maybe answer some questions, but as a whole, it's more important that the stream never goes silent.
exactly, and it didn't. And even, I mean, like when the games were done, they paused the stream and they had like this, "We'll be right back," or "We'll be back in an hour," or lunchtime, kind of background. And still, people were kept chatting like for an hour, just chatting about the games that were and the games that were coming up and different kinds of lists and stuff like that. And I just found it really interesting. And just to get back to what you said about maybe 3 hours, how it would work, because my experience after my own streaming is that like as long as you have someone commentating the games and you have like a discussion going on, it's really interesting. And I mean, if you don't want to watch the game for 3 hours, don't. I mean, like go to work or whatever, and when you get back, there's maybe the evening game going on, and you can watch that for an hour. And
Yeah.
if you have any questions, just ask them in the Twitch chat, and then go have some dinner or whatever, and then you come back. Like that's not a problem. You don't have to be actively watching a game for 3 hours and following every move. And when you come back, you can just ask in the chat, like, what happened to the Demon Prince? And someone will be like, yeah, he got cannoned off. So that's
Whoa. What happened to the sound? Wait a second, guys. I think Skype died. Can we someone recall? Do you hear me? Hate when this happens. Do you hear me? Can someone wave if you can hear me? Because I can't hear you guys. Fuck this shit.
Hello?
Yo,
Now it
Yep.
works.
yes. Yo.
Do you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you.
You must have some kind of glitch.
Yeah, there's some glitch somewhere, but it's okay.
Yeah,
Not a big
right.
problem. There's always going to be technical problems.
Yeah. For us
Yeah,
at least.
there's too many programs running for it.
So
Um,
where were you? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, I think it could work.
Yeah.
yeah, I
And I
think so as well. I mean, I have a non-playing, I have a friend that's not playing Warhammer, and he enjoys watching it, even though he doesn't know the rules and stuff like that. So I think it really could work. But you need some arrangement about the table and stuff like that, because I really think that you need an overview.
Yeah.
Like from
Yeah,
Universal
you
Battle, you need a vertical to the table.
Maybe
could,
Anders, we should make a pledge that for 2016 we do that.
You mean we don't play?
Exactly.
I can do it this year. I don't need to play this year. I could. I
Fuck
would
you.
love to.
Fuck
just...
you, man. You
I-
really need to play this year.
I was actually discussing this with Ben Curry.
Yeah. I saw that
Team
on
Excel.
Twitter.
Yeah, and he's hosting the Bad Dice podcast, which probably most of you have heard about. If you haven't, you should check it out. And he said that like the problem isn't like the know-how and the equipment. Everything is possible and pretty easy to fix. It's just that you don't have any guarantees from the host of the event that there will be internet connection.
No.
And also like it's not exactly cheap for someone to go down just to give coverage. So like there should be some kind of funding as well.
Yeah.
So I mean like for the internet part, I understand that would be a problem. You should definitely have some kind of
Yeah. You really want a live coverage. I mean, you don't want to make video on demands or something
No.
like that.
exactly.
Upload.
Exactly.
And that has always been a problem
And,
at the ETC. I mean, the internet connection it has never been good. The best place were in Switzerland, and I mean, that was not perfect, but it was good.
And that maybe you can solve that by discussing with the organizers. Like, can you guarantee that we have internet connection? I mean, like, how is the internet connection currently at the venue? And have you tried like the Wi-Fi connection for yourselves? And I mean, because if it's not stable, you don't really want to take a chance.
No, definitely not. But that would be great, like having a live show, like from the Magic the Gathering, for example. Do you watch any of those shows?
Yeah.
I'm not really into Magic, but I play it sometimes, and those like Pro Tours are so great to watch.
Yeah.
You get the card information and stuff like that. If you could have that for Warhammer, that would be, oh my god, that would be so good.
Yeah, and I mean, like, for now, you could just have maybe an overlay saying that, okay, it's this player from that country versus this player from that country, and they're playing these armies. That's enough.
Yep.
But then you could experiment with other stuff, of course. But the thing is, like, it's so nice to have something like that going on your computer while you're doing other stuff as well. Just having it in the background and just hearing the sounds from the venue and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can,
And I mean,
like,
you don't need an expert. I mean, you need someone who knows what's going on and knows about the games. But I mean, when I look at commentators from my from my point of view when watching esports, for example, is that you need someone who is kind of easy to listen to and
Yeah.
who is kind of likable. And you need
Yeah.
jokes. You need funny things. I mean, to from time to time break the ice.
Sure.
yeah, it's not fun to like watch the hard analysis all the time.
No.
But I mean, those kind of profiles exist, and I think.
Lasse, you're one of them.
I'm not
I
sure
mean, you
what
could
that
start a
means.
stream and just sit and talk bullshit. I would
And
probably
drink beer.
watch. Yeah, drink beer.
But okay, yeah, maybe that could be fun. Beer hammer with Lasse. Has everybody got your beer ready? Okay, here we go. No, but then there's the question about the funding, right?
But
Because
to be honest, I don't think I understand Ben. I understand where he's coming from, but I think to be able to get this thing in motion, you need kind of a guy who's willing to do this from his own time and his own funding. I mean,
Sure.
if the problem is if you give someone an X amount of money and say, okay, you're going to cover DTC, then there's always people who are going to be whining about, oh, what was this coverage, and okay, so this costs X
Sure.
euros, and was it worth it? So I think,
Yeah, and maybe you come down there and you don't get your camera equipment because you lost it on the plane, and then people
Exactly.
have committed money and stuff like
Exactly.
that. But I was getting to that.
Yeah.
Maybe you could have some kind of donations during the stream. I
Yeah.
know that Twitch requires you to have a certain amount of viewers during a certain amount of time to be able to have one of their own donation buttons. But maybe you could just have like a PayPal account, like.
Yeah. I've seen several
if
streamers
you like,
now that's like
Yeah.
their own PayPal
Yeah.
account.
if you like the stream, donate $1.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be much, but just like give what you feel you can spare or what it's worth. Because I mean, this guy is taking a weekend off and going down there just to stream, and also risking maybe losing valuable equipment and stuff like that. So I mean,
It might
sparing
just
$1.
be enough to like take off the ad block, to be honest.
Yep. Sure.
But
So
like I said before, so do we really think that? I mean, you said it was like 500 on War Machine.
yeah,
Do we
mean
think
that
that the Warhammer community is ready for it?
I
think
think
so.
we would have more viewers than 500.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have like
Because we
50
have
people in Sweden that are just screaming for coverage every year.
We
They just
have
coverage, and we are a small country.
twice as big community as War Machine Hordes.
Yeah.
And we really
And
need
their
to get
biggest
out there with a
tournaments,
competitive tournament. That's like the most important thing with this, in my opinion. It's like there's this huge tournament scene. Even in Sweden, we have like 500 people going around with the rank system and stuff like that. And then you can meet a guy down at the store, at the local store, that doesn't even know that there are tournaments in the game.
No.
So we need to get out there and like show that there is competitive play, because a lot of people like competitive play. You can see it in like the esports and stuff like that. Computer games have always been about like just playing for yourself, but now it's like a $1 million industry.
But maybe we could try it in Sweden at a tournament here in Sweden.
Yeah, I think so as well. That would be really good.
It raises it raises some questions from myself, and that's how are you going to do it? I mean, you can't sit by the table.
No, you need like a camera, and then you have like a booth, or you just sit in the next room, and then you have like microphones for players. In my opinion, you need that because you want to hear what spells are cast and everything, what they are discussing at the table. And then you can have your own microphones that are like slightly higher volume, and then you can sit and discuss it, and you just watch the screen, so you only see the same thing that viewers see.
Yeah,
I think you could probably have a camera on a tripod or whatever, and then just the sound from the players you could record via the camera.
Yeah.
And then you sit by a table, maybe 5 meters away, because I don't think people will hear you discussing 5 meters from the table.
No.
Because it's a pretty loud atmosphere. So I think you could just maybe set up a table a couple of meters
but it could be a risk. I mean, both of you know how many times, I mean, you've seen games and there's some units still alive in the graveyard and someone comments on it. And I mean, there can be no discussions that I mean,
sure,
we as commentators cannot affect the game. And that's also a point. I mean, now we're becoming really geek and stupid, but I think it's important to just mention it. And that's the one reason for why esport is always lagging on the streams, is that problem that you kind of invite people to be able to cheat.
You mean the delay that they have a couple of minutes delay?
What did I say?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you have to be a lag.
A lag.
I mean, you have to be sure that the players on the table can't hear you commentate, and if you, for some reason, have to be by the table, and they might hear something. I mean, you shouldn't be like at the table discussing loudly, because that could affect the game, of course. But if you're a few feet away and they might pick up on a few words, maybe if you just discuss stuff that it doesn't matter if they hear. For example, stuff about their list and maybe what the point of their list is and just general stuff.
Actually, this could be a big problem at ETC. If we have some live streamers and we like comment like this is a huge mistake, you shouldn't do this, a viewer could just send a swift message to the player, just pointing it out. I mean, that doesn't take any time at all.
But there will be delay.
But I think don't Twitch but don't Twitch have like a possibility to delay the stream?
Yeah, sure, you can delay.
Yeah, but the stream will be delayed.
How much you want.
Yeah, so you could always delay the stream. I mean, that shouldn't be a
Yeah,
problem.
you don't want it like very delayed.
If you delay it by 5 minutes,
the thing is that if you delay StarCraft by 5 minutes, the game is over when you see the like Dark Shrine or whatever.
Yeah.
But a Warhammer game, it's still like if he does the mistake in his movement phase, they will be in like the magic phase 5 minutes later, or even still the movement phase.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but that wasn't a problem in the War Machine stream.
maybe not. You don't know.
Yeah,
that.
but it could be a problem. I think if you're going to start something like this or even start to discuss it, you have to. I mean, you have to mention the problem that you're kind of inviting new ways, or I shouldn't say new ways to cheat, but you're inviting ways to cheat. I'm not saying people are cheating.
I just have
But
to.
they do.
The thing is that what you're talking about is very possible as it is.
Yeah, sure.
You could just go by the table. One of your teammates even goes past the table and sees something and then texts you.
Yeah, but
Why
but
isn't that an
still,
issue?
Yeah, but
It's the exact same thing.
no, it's not exactly the same thing, because people who are at the venue, most people there who are with the team, like if I go there and I'm going to cover the Swedish ETC team, I'm there, people see me walk around, they know that there's a possibility that I could say something. But you invite the whole world to be able to comment on it. So I mean, if I am able to see a mistake, or if I miss to see someone making a mistake, I mean, there's 50 people back in Sweden who could see it and kind of try to send a message or just announce that where the mistake was made, and maybe there's time to correct it.
Yeah, I just feel that the risk is already there.
Yeah, I agree. I'm
To
not
some
saying,
extent,
I'm
sure,
not,
but
this
not
is
in
not
the same.
for me, this is not a deal breaker. I just think you really need
That
to.
you can just keep that in mind when you commentate in that case. Like, don't be like, oh shit, he didn't think of this. You know, like, oh, he should do this with that unit. Be more like, okay, you can just think about what you say.
Yeah.
You should be fine.
So what do we say? We're gonna sum it up a bit. I think we think that the community is ready for it. It would be fun and kind of have a stream and have some commentators. And maybe we could say that, okay, we're going to try this in Sweden and put it up on YouTube and see how people think about it. I mean, there's still a valid point in watching the. I mean, we could always stream it live, but there's also a valid point in letting people watch it and see how they think it was. Was it good? What was wrong? What needed to be changed? And
get some feedback.
Exactly.
And maybe until next time, you and me, Lasse, could make a UB commentary. Would you like that?
Yeah,
that would be good.
Yeah, we could try to get it out there. We're not promising anything, guys, but hopefully we can. Hopefully we can get it together. Never.
But I also think that maybe a tournament in kind of like Västerås, a town in Sweden, who has really nice tournaments, and it's kind of the hometown of Lasse, and it's really close for all of us. Maybe that could be a place to try it out for the first time also.
Sure, absolutely.
So
I think it's at the QFA. We could try it out. So.
Exactly. So by this, we're going to keep these episodes a bit shorter. So we've been here for like half an hour now and just discussing this really hot topic that Lasse wanted to discuss. I'm pretty sure he's not satisfied with the time. Maybe he wants to discuss this further in some other episode. But for now, I think you made your point, and I think it's
Yeah,
really valid. And I think it would be fun. I mean, I'm a guy who really could just have it in the background and just hear somebody make some jokes and see how the games are going.
absolutely,
But for now,
absolutely.
we say thank you to the community, and we'll be back probably in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
back.
We're back.
Yeah, we're
Take
back
care.
finally.
Bye bye.
Yeah, see you guys.
See ya guys.